Have you ever stood in front of the mirror and quietly asked yourself, is it finally time to cut my hair? For many women over 60, that moment feels like a rite of passage, a quiet pressure that whispers, now you must change. Somewhere along the way, the world convinced us that aging gracefully meant shrinking ourselves, softening our presence, and, yes, cutting off our long hair. It's a belief passed down unspoken, but powerful older women shouldn't wear long hair. But who decided that? And why have we followed it for so long, without ever asking if it truly fits who we are? This isn't just about hairstyle. It's about identity, about whether we're still allowed to take up space, feel beautiful, and express ourselves the way we choose. Because here's the truth. Your reflection shouldn't be shaped by a rulebook written decades ago. It should be shaped by how you feel inside, when your hair brushes your shoulders, or when it moves freely in the wind. Long hair can still be vibrant, elegant, even powerful if it still feels like you. Welcome to a space made just for you. Here we honor the beauty, strength, and wisdom of women over 60. This chapter of life is not about slowing down. It's about blooming in new, powerful ways. Whether it's health style, purpose, or joy, we're here to inspire and support you every step of the way. You're not alone. This is a community where your voice is valued, your journey is respected, and your best days are still ahead. So grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let's embrace this beautiful season together. This video isn't here to tell you what to do with your hair. It's here to help you ask a different question. What do I want? Not what others expect. Not what society says is age-appropriate, but what speaks to the woman you are today. Whether you've worn long hair for decades or you're thinking of growing it back, let this be a gentle reminder. You don't need permission to keep what you love. And maybe, just maybe, that includes your hair. Part 1. The history of the short hair. After 50 rule. Let's address the question that has stopped so many women in their tracks. Does long hair actually make you look older? It's a concern we've all heard. Whether whispered by a stylist, suggested by a friend, or echoed in our own thoughts. The idea that long hair ages us has taken root so deeply that many women accept it as fact, never pausing to ask if it's even true. But here's what we often forget. Hair is not the enemy, age isn't either. The issue lies not in the length, but in how we care for and wear our hair. Long hair, when neglected, can certainly emphasize fatigue, dry ends, lack of shape, dull color. Those things can make anyone at any age look less vibrant. But cared for long hair, that's something else entirely. When your hair is healthy, shiny, and intentionally styled, it becomes a frame of grace, not a marker of age. Soft waves can lift your features. Layers can add movement. A flattering shade, whether it's natural silver or warm highlights, brings life to your whole face. It's not the hair's length that matters, it's the love you give it. There's power in choosing a look that aligns with how you feel, not how you're expected to look. Some of the most radiant women I've ever met wore their hair long, well into their 70s. Not because they were clinging to youth, but because they were connected to themselves. They wore it confidently as a statement of freedom. So instead of asking, will long hair make me look older? Ask this instead. Does it make me feel alive? Because how you feel always shows up in how you look, and that glow, that confidence is ageless. Part 2. Myth versus reality. Does long hair make women look older? Long hair often carries more than strands, it carries stories. For many women, especially those over 60, keeping long hair isn't just a choice about style. It's deeply emotional. It's about memory, identity, and connection. Think of the moments your hair has witnessed, brushing it before school, tying it back during years of motherhood, letting it down during celebrations, or holding it close in times of loss. Hair is a timeline, and for some, cutting, it can feel like cutting off parts of those memories. There's something sacred about the relationship a woman has with her hair. For decades, it has framed her face in the mirror, fluttered in the breeze on long walks, and caught sunlight like a gentle halo. When the world changes and the pace of life slows down, hair becomes a familiar comfort, a thread connecting the woman you were to the woman you are now. That's why many women who've worn their hair short for practicality or social expectation often feel an unexpected sense of joy and recognition when they let it grow again. They say, "I see myself again." One woman told me that after her retirement, she finally allowed her hair to grow past her shoulders. She said it was like reclaiming her wildness, her femininity, her voice. Another woman in her 70s described brushing her long silver hair every night as an act of care, not vanity, she said, but devotion. And that distinction is so important. Long hair doesn't mean you're trying to be younger. It means you're honoring every version of yourself that brought you here. So when people ask, why keep your hair long at your age? The answer can be simple. Because it still feels like you. Because it tells your story without words. Because it moves the way you still feel inside. Graceful, strong, soft, and free. In a world that so often asks older women to shrink, long hair can be a quiet rebellion. A statement that says, I am still becoming. And that story, your story, is far from over. Part 3. The emotional connection to long hair. What truly makes long hair work after 60 isn't just emotion, it's harmony. It's the way your face, your hair texture, and your spirit all come together to create something beautiful and true. Because while confidence is the foundation, understanding your unique features helps that confidence shine brighter. Let's begin with the shape of your face. Each one tells its own story, and your hair can either whisper that story gently or shout over it. For women with round faces, long hair can be incredibly flattering, especially when it's layered to create length and softness. Think gentle waves or side parts that guide the eye downward, adding elegance and movement. If your face is more square, long styles with texture, soft curls, or feathered ends can help soften strong jawlines. Avoid straight, heavy cuts that draw attention to sharp angles. If you have an oval face, you're in luck. Most lengths work beautifully, but even here, long hair benefits from thoughtful shaping to avoid overwhelming your features. Now let's talk about texture, because long hair doesn't mean flat or shapeless. It means working with what you naturally have. As we age, hair often becomes finer, sometimes drier, but that doesn't mean you need to let go of length. Fine hair can benefit from long layers that add lift and volume, while coarse or curly hair may thrive with weight that helps it settle into beautiful waves. The key is not fighting your texture, but enhancing it with light styling, deep conditioning, and a gentle cut that grows gracefully. Silver hair, in particular, can look striking when it's long. The way it catches light, the natural shimmer, the softness, it can be a crown of elegance. But even silver strands need shape and care. A few face-framing layers, a bit of shine serum, and regular trims can elevate the look from overlooked to unforgettable. One of the most freeing truths about long hair at this age is that there are no longer rules to follow. You don't need bangs to hide lines or volume to chase youth. You only need to listen to yourself. Does your hair feel like part of you? Does it move the way you move? Does it match your inner pace, your rhythm, your essence? Because that's what beauty, after 60, is. It's not imitation, it's reflection. The right hairstyle isn't about looking younger. It's about looking like yourself, your favorite version of you. And whether that includes soft waves, elegant updos, or a simple braid down your back, it all begins with honoring the woman in the mirror. Her face, her texture, her life. Let your hair complement her, not change her, because when it does, that's when long hair becomes not just beautiful, but timeless. Part 4. What actually works. Face shape, texture, and tips. Long hair at any age is a commitment, but after 60, it becomes something more, a quiet form of self-respect. It's not about spending hours in front of the mirror or stocking your shelves with dozens of products. It's about creating a simple, nourishing routine that supports not only your hair, but your sense of self. Because hair, especially long hair, tells a story. And that story deserves care. First and foremost, moisture is your best friend. As we age, our scalps produce less natural oil, and long hair feels it most. Hydration is no longer a luxury. It's a necessity. Choose a gentle sulfate-free shampoo that doesn't strip your strands, and pair it with a rich, nourishing conditioner. Once a week, treat yourself to a deep conditioning mask. Focus on the ends where hair tends to be the driest, and give yourself permission to take your time. Let it sit while you sip tea, listen to music, or simply breathe. Next, care for the root, your scalp. A healthy scalp is the foundation of beautiful hair. Consider a light scalp massage each day. Even if it's just for a minute or two, it stimulates circulation, encourages growth, and feels like a loving ritual you give yourself. You can even add a drop of nourishing oil or scalp serum to enhance the experience. It's not just hair care. It's a moment of mindfulness. Trimming your hair may sound counterintuitive when you're trying to grow or maintain length, but regular trims every 6 to 8 weeks prevent split ends from creeping up the shaft. This keeps your hair stronger and more vibrant, giving it that graceful movement that feels anything but stiff or tired. Heat styling can be tempting, especially if your natural texture has changed over the years. But it's also one of the biggest culprits of damage. If you use heat, do it sparingly, and always with a protectant. Better yet, embrace air drying when you can. Find gentle styles that work with your natural waves or straight strands. Long braids, soft buns, and loose ponytails can be elegant, easy, and kind to your hair. Of course, what you eat shows up in your hair. Make sure your meals are rich in protein, omega-3s, and vitamins like biotin, A, D, and E. These nutrients support growth, strength, and shine from the inside out. Drinking water, too, is more powerful than any serum on your shelf. And don't underestimate the value of the right brush. Use a wide tooth comb or soft bristle brush to detangle. Always start from the bottom and work your way up gently. Your hair deserves patience, not pulling. But above all, let your hair care. Routine be an act of kindness. Not a chore, not a rule, but a rhythm. An invitation to connect with yourself each day, because long hair after 60 isn't about holding on to the past. It's about honoring who you are today. And when you care for your hair with intention, it becomes not just beautiful, but deeply personal. Part 5: Maintenance Tips for Long Hair after 60. Sometimes the most powerful truths come not from experts or studies, but from real women who've lived, loved, endured, and blossomed. Women who made the quiet, intentional choice to keep their long hair as they aged. Their stories don't scream for attention, but they linger in your heart, reminding you that beauty doesn't retire. It evolves. Take Clara, for instance. She's 68, a former librarian from Vermont with silver hair that flows past her shoulders. For years, she kept it short because it felt practical, as society suggested. But the moment she retired, she decided to grow it out. It felt like coming home to myself, she said. Every inch that grew back reminded me of who I was before I tried to fit in. Clara now wears her long hair in a loose braid most days, and every time she passes a mirror, she smiles, not at a younger version of herself, but at a truer one. Then there's Denise, 72, who lives in Arizona. Her hair is thick, wavy, and gloriously gray. She wears it in a soft twist during the day, but lets it down. When she sits outside in the evenings, I didn't grow it for anyone else. She told us, I grew it for the wind. Denise lost her husband 5 years ago and said growing her hair was a small way to reclaim joy. It gave me something to nurture, something that reminded me I'm still alive, still growing. And let's not forget about Marisol, 66, who works part-time at a flower shop in California. She'd worn her hair in a pixie cut since her 40s, thinking it was the age-appropriate thing to do. But her granddaughter, at just 7 years old, once asked, "Grandma, did you ever have princess hair?" That question unlocked something. Marisol decided to grow her hair out, not to look like a princess, but because she realized she didn't want to let go of softness, movement, or beauty, just to follow a rule. Now her dark gray curls frame her face and fall just below her shoulders. And when she laughs, they bounce with her. What these women have in common isn't vanity, it's vitality. They didn't grow their hair to chase youth. They grew it to honor their spirit, their memories, their femininity on their own terms. And every strand tells a story of resilience, of joy, of a woman who refuses to be invisible. So if you're on the fence, wondering whether you should keep your long hair, listen to the women who've already made the choice. They aren't trying to turn back time, they're walking forward with grace, softness, and strength. Hair flowing, hearts open. Their beauty doesn't come from rebellion, but from alignment, from choosing themselves, and you can too. Part 6. Real Women. Real Stories meet Lorraine, 71, a retired art teacher from Santa Fe. She wears her long, silver hair in a loose braid, and when the desert wind catches it, she smiles, not out of vanity, but memory. Lorraine grew up in the 60s when long hair was a symbol of freedom and rebellion. When she turned 60, her friends said, "Time for a pixie cut," but Lorraine paused. She touched the braid that had followed her through motherhood, the passing of her husband, and the birth of her first grandchild cutting. It felt like erasing chapters of her own novel. She didn't do it. Instead, she leaned into care. She found joy in nourishing her hair oils, soft brushes, fresh trims. "It's not about holding on to youth," she says. "It's about honoring who I've become." Lorraine isn't alone. Across the country, women like her are redefining what aging looks like. They aren't keeping long hair to defy time. They're keeping it because it tells their story, because every strand holds a memory, a lesson, a laugh. When you meet a woman like Lorraine, you realize something powerful. Aging doesn't have to mean cutting away what made you feel alive. It can mean keeping it, cherishing it, and wearing it with intention. Long hair after 60 isn't resistance. It's reverence for your journey, your identity, and your freedom to still choose what makes you feel most like yourself. Conclusion. Should you keep your long hair? So here we are, at the heart of the matter. Not just talking about hair, but about freedom, identity, and how we see ourselves as we age. The real question isn't, should older women wear long hair, but what makes you feel most like you? Because when it comes to beauty in our 60s, 70s, and beyond, the rules are no longer written by fashion magazines or fleeting trends. They're written by us. Whether you choose a soft bob, silver waves that dance past your shoulders, or a simple braid that whispers stories of your youth, the most important thing is that your style reflects your spirit. Not to meet someone else's expectations, but to honor your own journey. Long hair can be a statement, but not always the loud kind. Sometimes it's quiet strength. A thread that runs through decades of your life, holding memories, pride, and growth. Other times, it's a gentle rebellion. A way to say, I still decide who I am. Let no one tell you there's an expiration date on beauty. It evolves, just like you have. And the more it reflects your truth, your softness, your fire, your grace, the more radiant it becomes. So if you're standing at the mirror, wondering what to do next, pause and listen. Not to the noise, but to the woman in the reflection. She knows what feels right, and that's the only answer you need. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. We hope this video brought a little light insight or comfort to your day. Every moment you share here means so much, and we're honored to be a part of your journey. Remember, this chapter of life is full of wisdom, beauty, and new beginnings, and you deserve to enjoy every bit of it. If you found this helpful, we'd love for you to subscribe and join our growing community of strong, inspiring women. There's so much more to explore together, more stories, more tips, and more heartwarming encouragement made just for you. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.